Mixtapes.
The classic mixtapes.
Doing the mixtape thing.
Let me drop a mixtape.
Oh, mixtape.
The mixtapes.
This is the Art Behind the Tape Podcast. Hosted by
This DJ.
DJ Mars and Bril Ndiaye. Covering the spectrum of the mixtape culture.
Yo, party people, what's good? It's the DJ Mars sitting right next to my partner in crime on the other side.
Bril Ndiaye holding it down for the Art Behind the Tape Podcast. What's good, Mars?
Man, it's all good. Listen, this is ATL to the fullest.
ATL royalty right here.
To
Legend.
the fullest. I got my man 50 grand, 100,000 grand on top of that. My man DJ Jelly represent the Camp. Represent Atlanta to the fullest, man. Thank you, my God.
Absolutely,
thank you,
my man.
Thank you.
No,
I can't say it enough times. Thank you for being not only my friend, but being a pillar in the mixtape community in Atlanta first, but then globally, because we're going to talk about your penetration through the global market. Correct. Thank you, my God, man. We appreciate you coming out, man, and talking to us, bro.
That's what's up. I'm here. I'm on deck.
Yeah, we were talking before you got here. Mm-hmm. Like every DJ has a personality. Like in every interview has a personality. We were saying, this one is going to be for educational purposes only.
Right.
Right. For real.
Like,
That's crazy. Yeah. I hear you.
Man, so when we talk about history, everyone has a history.
Right.
Right. Your lineage takes you back to the Midwest, to St. Louis. What was mixtapes, or what was music like for you, let's say in junior high? Like what was Jelly listening to in that era?
I was listening to Full Force, I was listening to Houdini, I was listening to K-Love and all kind of stuff. All that. That was the breakdance era. And I was breakdancing.
So that was your first footsteps into hip hop breakdancing? Absolutely.
Breakdancing, man. Listen to Rapper's Delight.
Wow.
Well, Rapper's Delight was more like when I was like in fifth grade or sixth grade. Yeah. But still.
So when did you? Okay, so you're watching breakdance. You watching movies because
absolutely
Beat Street.
I was on
breaking,
all that, bro. Come on, Wild Style. I was on all that all day, bro.
So at what point between watching it and you breakdancing did DJing become important to you?
Well, I have a mentor. Shouts out to Cutmaster K, who I used to carry his records, me and my boys.
Wow.
And we used to crank up his parties. So we'll get in there. We had no biz. We were in junior high and high school going to all these college parties early. So we was on deck. We was the stars. We got out there party while he DJ. But I was so fascinated on how he blended all kind of music. Back during that time, it was a lot of you had like Radio Clash, like The Clash, and you had Beastie Boys. You had different stuff. He was blending all that together. Stuff like Chicago Stay the Night and just cutting it up. And I was just like, man, this is dope. I'm just a child of hip hop. I'm fascinated. Here we are. And that was a fascinating thing. Even though I was dancing and I did art, I didn't tag any subway trains. I want to do that. That's in my bucket list. But I was just like, that DJ was dope. I'm like, that's dope. I love music,
man. So St. Louis obviously isn't Chicago. It's not Detroit.
No.
What were
totally
y'all? Was there like a specific vibe that you guys were on back then?
No, it was just we were just on all hip. Everything came through that 2 Live Crew to NWA, the Beastie Boys, Too Short. We got everything through there. That's what we were just on the discovery of hip hop. The discovery at large.
Of hip-hop.
Yeah.
It's a melting pot, basically.
Yeah, it wasn't no like a Nelly sound or nothing like that yet, or none of that. We liked the music. Yeah, and you know what I'm saying? And the DJ culture is big in the Midwest, so people blended everything together.
So did I know you talked about hip hop. Did disco permeate the St. Louis market? Because I mentioned that because y'all are on some level relative to Chicago, and I know disco and house big in Chicago.
Music did.
House music
that was in there, bro.
That was on deck.
It was there, bro. Strong. I enjoyed it. I didn't. But I was in disco when I was a child, so it was just it was natural. That transition, listening to disco and going in the house, because house is more like you had your hip hop. We was thugging with the hip hop, but the house music, we partying, the women, you know, we was on it.
Yeah, like, so I like to ask these questions to kind of like paint this picture of DJs who have a wide palette of music. Like, with like, our brains are like computers, literally, with music stored in our head. And I remember coming up, Kraftwerk was big.
Man,
you know, obviously Soul Sonic Force, Planet Rock, but those are like, you know, Rocket, Herbie Hancock.
Right.
Those were like the electronic sounds of hip hop that led to bass music.
Absolutely.
And led to other genres. Yeah. And to your point, you're talking about styles and genres, and these are all different things that you put into Jelly's mental crate.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's all in my files. Just I'm talking about. I'm a, you know, it's like diction of the '70s, baby. That's just what all that just seeping through my soul, through my pores. That's you right.
Yeah, man, it's so incredible. So, like, you know, before every interview, we kind of, me and Bril do our homework and whatnot. Bril is like our tactician over here, like he lays it out, man. So like some of the questions I know Bril been waiting to ask you and whatnot, man.
Right,
definitely. So when it comes to St. Louis, was there a mixtape scene or?
Not really. I mean, like I said, it was only a few DJs really putting out a mixtape, but it wasn't big.
Got you.
At that time. Like we were talking about the mid '80s, late '80s. It wasn't really big. It was just a few DJs that did it.
Okay. Let me ask you this question: what was your first mixtape experience, or your?
I mean, it was from my mentor, Cut Master K. So he would make the tapes, and then I went home and started. You know, I got me some turntable. Well, one turntable. Then I had a tape deck. So I would, you know, have my mixer mix that turntable and tape deck, and I had another tape deck, and then I, you know, make my master through the tape deck and the turntable. Then I would take that tape out again and then mix back over it again, like I had a multi-track.
Okay.
So that's what I would do, because he would do similar to that, and I would just try to mimic that, because I like, I hear this going with this and this, you know, going back to back. And then, of course, towards the late 80s, I started hearing the Dr. Dre Swap Me mixtape. So all of that just blew my mind.
You know, Bril from LA.
I'm from LA.
He from
so
LA.
I know about those.
I was on that.
Wow.
I was on that hard. I was listening to how he was. That multi-track, I would just listen to myself just rolling in, and I was like, and it's production, really.
Yeah, it is.
And it blew my mind.
Wow.
The possibilities that you can use music and do this.
So the Dr. Dre mixtapes made to the Midwest, to St. Louis?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because you had a lot of people that were in different gangs moving to St. Louis. And this is late 80s. They were moving there. The rolling 60s and 30s, whatever, you know, just
right.
I had a partner, Wacky. He was always put me up on Dre shit. You know, he had the wavy hair, he had the Converse, and it was real.
You know what's ill and what's dope is how street culture helped. Like, I mean, you just said, like, you know, what was it? Ice Cube Summer Vacation.
Yeah.
He talked like
make a trip to St. Louis.
They were moving there. It's 85. They moving up in there. They in St. Louis.
So what he was saying in that song was relatively
very real. Yeah, I connected. As soon as I heard that, I was like, yep.
So Bril, obviously a West Coast guy, me a East Coast guy. When I heard that, obviously, I'm not in St. Louis. I wasn't in St. Louis.
DJ Quick.
But when I heard it, I was like, yo, this has the way he wrote that rhyme in that song. I was like, somebody had to do that.
Right, for real.
Like that's all, you know.
Yeah, Cube was on it.
Yeah, so we talking Jelly history. Where did the name Jelly come from?
I mean, it came from I'm a big Minneapolis Prince fan. So
okay.
The drummer, I used to come to high school with suit jackets on and all that stuff, even though I looked more like Jerome, but my boy was like, he was like, Jelly Bean. And that was the drummer's name in the time, Jelly Bean. I used to wear these long suit jacket that was like Morris Day almost.
Yeah. Z Cavarici.
Yeah, there you go, that part. So I was on it, and he was like, Jelly Bean. I'm like, man, what you call me, Jelly? That was one of my partners, Stick. And then, of course, Cool J dropped. When I got out of high school, he
Jelly
dropped that.
Bean.
Yeah, man, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna have to use that jelly, crunch it like a jelly bean. I was like, that's it, and it was a wrap after that.
Wow. I mean, obviously it stuck and it worked. I feel like names are super important. Like, I was reading an interview DMC. He was talking about rappers' names from the 80s and the correlation between their names and comic book names, right? So he said, I'm paraphrasing DMC. He was saying that that rappers came up with names because they felt like they were superheroes. And when he said it, I didn't understand it. He was like, DMC stands for Devastating Mic Controller. You know, Grandmaster Caz, the Furious Five. Like, if you think about it, you could take those names and put it on comic books, on the pages of comic books, and those names will be like bigger than life. Because that's the energy that we was on.
That's right.
In the 80s, we were Kung Fu flicks.
Man, come on.
Comic books.
Comic books hard. Man, and think about Grandmaster Flash. I mean, me seeing him in Wild Style and how he was freaking the turntables and putting the sounds together, I was just blown away when I saw that. All that just kind of going to the psyche as being a young kid coming up on hip hop. You see it, and they were the superheroes. They are the superheroes. I was looking at them like, damn, that's dope. He doing this. He putting this there. I was like, wow.
And then he turned around and he had the Grandmaster Flash with the Flash.
Yeah.
I was like, what? So
that's a funny dude, though. Respect the Flash, right?
Yeah, man. So let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah,
your first pieces of equipment, you tapped into it. What was your first mixer?
My first mixer was a realistic mixer. It wasn't a knob one. My boy had the knob one, but I just had the regular realistic mixer. It was real simple. Two channels.
Break this down. Where did you? This is just for them. Where did you get it from?
I went to Radio Shack.
Exactly.
I went to
Radio Shack was every DJ's best friend.
That's right. That was the best buy then for DJs.
Wow. Wow.
That was.
Like
everybody went to Radio Shack.
The funny thing is that mixer wasn't good though.
No.
It was just what you could
that's
get.
what I could get. I know what I could afford.
Yeah.
And I made it work. Right. You know, we had to make it work. That's what hip hop was about. It's like a poor man's band. Yeah, poor man's band. Thank you. Yeah. So we made it work.
So you had the realistic mixer. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Direct drive turntable.
Direct drive.
I took the whatever that is, the little needle holder things. I took it out and put like a little pencil. I used to cut pencils and make it short so I can scratch over it. Because usually with the handle on it where they drop the records, I took that long piece out. Said, I got to at least scratch because I want to hit the middle.
How did you? What kind of? What did you use for felt? Like
for the felt, I would cut up the paper on the inside of the vinyls
and put the record on top of it.
Put the record on top and cut. I make about 3 or 4 of them and put them on top and jibbit. Mom used to get mad. My father be pissed. Shouts out my pops. I used to cut up like his Miles Davis Water Baby albums and all that. And I was experimenting.
Why did you because I used to put pennies on top. You tape the
absolutely to the needles.
Yes,
so to put the weight on it.
To put the weight
pennies on. Or a nickel, depending on the type of needle
you couldn't put a quarter on it.
No. It would crazy. It would smash it. You'd be sitting there looking crazy, on the real. Definitely on that. But yeah, man, Mars we DJs. Yeah, but California though, definitely Dr. Dre. I mean, that's one of my top producers ever in life.
Right.
Seriously, like the way he thinks and how he utilizes the people around him and
production style.
Incredible, man.
It's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't know the tapes was going all the way to the Midwest like
Absolutely.
that. Like DJ Quick said, St. Louis is just like Compton.
Oh yeah, pulling up at Gus. That was the sneaker shop like Walters. Gus was the staple as far as sneakers. Like any artists that come in town, that's where they go. They go to Gus.
So if a DJ is popping, let's say this is late 90s, late 80s. I'm sorry, 85 to 90. A DJ is in St. Louis. Where's he selling his tapes at?
They not just amongst friends. It was we didn't use the flea markets and nothing like that. We just would do it in high school and pop. Yeah, we just sell it. I might be cutting hair and I might sell because I used to cut hair too. So then I'll sell my tape, to a partner. Here $5 for a tape or something.
So the DJ Jelly mixtape DJ Jelly didn't occur into Atlanta.
To Atlanta, that's when it became. I was doing it in high school. People was like, "All right, Jelly, the music." I was like, "Cool," but I was a visual artist, so I used to paint, and draw, and all that. So I was really thinking about going to college for it like that. But the kids in high school, I used to start throwing parties. They was like, "Well, good luck on the music." I'm like, okay. So yeah, it didn't happen until I got with MC Assault in Atlanta, where it became official. I did it I was working at Peppermints in college and working in Magic City. But then following that, this was like 89, 90, 91, I got with Assault and then really started creating this product.
So what brought you to Atlanta?
Music. I mean, basically, and I always tell this, my mother was reading Essence magazine and I was looking at it. I was looking at her. She was in the couch in front of me and I'm looking over her shoulder and it was like Bobby Brown builds a 15-point gazillion dollar home in Atlanta. I said, oh, that's why. I literally saw that and was like, I'm gone. I'm gone. Ain't nothing happening in St. Louis. I'm out.
What year was that?
This was 89. I was like, I'm gone.
So you get here in 89. When did you link up with Assault?
I linked up with Assault like early 91. Because my first job was at Bobby Brown's studio.
Interning, right?
How about that interning?
Yeah,
So
I heard about that.
I was manifesting some things and really was putting myself in the energy of it. And my first DJ job was Magic City. You know, shouts out to DC, Brain Supreme, whoop, there it is. He gave my first opportunity as a DJ.
Wow.
And then eventually, you know, the word started getting out, and then I connected with Assault through a partner of mine, Freddie B. Shouts out to Freddie B, who's like one of the main producers of the Camp sound. And yeah, man, early 91, we started slinging them tapes, getting out in the streets. Simpson Road, West Side, we there Sunday through Sunday working.
Wow.
Slanging tapes like dope. I mean, the same thing. I kid you not. It was all in unison. Like somebody was over there doing that. I was over there with the tapes.
So the distribution was extremely street level.
Very much street level. Yep.
Did you guys have stores or you guys?
We didn't have stores at first. Obviously, we were just straight working the West Side. We was riding. We rode everywhere. The North Side, the West Side, South Side, College. We rode everywhere and sold it on the corners. And then eventually, we started getting, saying, oh, well, let's spend some money. We're building this money up. Let's go ahead and invest in the flea market spots so we can just be stationary. Right. But we still did the streets, but we still had little spots.
So did were you selling tapes inside inside Magic City?
No, I didn't. This was Magic City. I was just doing tapes for people in Magic City. It wasn't. I didn't look at it as a business then.
Personalized tapes? Or?
Yeah, just personal tapes.
Okay.
So somebody would come in, whoever the big guy of the streets was, he'd come, yo, Jelly, I want you to make a tape.
Or the dancers.
So
hey, I need this. Yeah.
Soundtrack wise, what was on those tapes? Because you're talking. This is what 91.
This is 90. 90 in Magic. So 90, it was everything from Set Off to Planet Rock to Bobby Brown to all the electronic type music. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Play at
Upper
your own
tempo.
risk. Magic Mike, a lot of Magic Mike, all that, because they was running it during that time. Like that shit was really running the A.
So when I think of Sonics, from an Atlanta standpoint,
everything was fast.
I was just getting to that point.
Everything was up tempo.
Up tempo. And so why is that?
I mean, I don't know. It's just the energy. You close to Florida, Alabama, all the country places love booty shake music. And then obviously strip clubs. That was the soundtrack of strip clubs at that time, and really. People spent money because the women actually danced. It's different now. Back then, they was working out. They was really dancing, and the money was really sticking to their bodies because they was sweating and dancing to them fast music for damn near 15, 20 minutes. So it was different then, man. People, and that's another thing too. Speaking of Florida, Florida just had a musical influence on Atlanta and the whole West Coast electro scene. It just did. Like everybody. You had a lot of military folks coming through Georgia, obviously, and this were the sounds they were bringing through Atlanta, and it's stuck in Atlanta.
So, I remember more so 91 than 90.
Okay,
I remember the Hard Boys because I got to Atlanta August 15th, 1991. That's first day freshman week that day, and I remember the Hard Boys being the sound of Atlanta at that time, or the street side of Atlanta.
Street side, yes, they were street side. CMP. Shouts out to Kirk and Rashida. They was doing their thing. With the girl group that they had at that time. I mean, yeah, it was a whole nother side of Atlanta. It just wasn't booty shake. But even the booty shake artists, well, what they considered bass artists, they were doing street music too. Though you had Kilo and them wasn't just doing fast music; they was doing all kind of shit. Sammy Sam was doing. Well, he was straight rugged. Sam was the real. He was like the DMX of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. So man, I mean, Atlanta at that time was a different place, right? So you had a couple different versions of Atlanta. You had the AUC, which was like its own planet.
Yep.
And then you had the East Side, but then adjacent to the AUC, you had, and this is when I first heard your name popping off, you had 559 and that energy.
Smash.
That was a whole
that was some real Atlanta shit. Like, if you didn't understand what's going on in the early 90s, boy, you had to be there for that one. Like, that was the real deal shit. Like,
yes. I'm as a college student, I'm gonna keep it so real. Mm-hmm. We were afraid to go over there because
I believe it.
It was please believe it. It was different.
Yeah, it was different. It was Atlanta. This is Atlanta.
Yeah,
this is the scope. This is the west side of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This was the real Simpson Road. This is the west side of Atlanta, southwest and west side of Atlanta. That's what it was, and everybody was in there. And people, it wasn't like people was killing people in there. It was just they wasn't with the bullshit
at all.
Zero tolerance. You get your head cracked, you might get your head cracked, but they know it wasn't shooting up people. It wasn't none of that type of shit.
Yeah. So, backtracking a little bit, we talking about you had mentioned your store, the store.
The stores.
So I know the team is called the Camp.
No, it was MC Assault and DJ Jelly. The Camp came afterwards.
So
it was, you got to understand, you got to understand something with the whole Camp thing. That was something that me, Assault, and Big created from the mixtapes because we had to put together a squad.
Right.
So Big obviously was the money at that time, and we was like, and Assault was like, man, Big Boy, we need to do a label. And so then, that's 95 officially became Big Records in 95. So this was years after the tapes.
Gotcha. Let me ask you a question about the tapes. When it comes to the west side of Atlanta, rivalry to the east side, you had King Edward J. Talk about that.
Look, I mean, that was a vendetta that MC Assault had. He like the triple OG of the squad. He get us in all the bullshit, but it was good shit though. Obviously.
Yeah.
King Edward J was running shit since the 80s. He wanted to change. He wanted to kind of shake up the basket, so he call it. So King Edward J and them talked on mixtapes like the East Coast folks did, and he was just, man, fuck all that talking and shit. I can't hear the fucking music. So we came with the plan of making more of a production, which enabled us to basically break music, and give possibilities to the sound that Atlanta can have at that time. We basically influenced a lot of the producers during that time period.
Y'all gave birth to it.
Yeah, right. The sound, we were mixing hard, soft, sweet stuff with gangster twerk shit. We was putting all that shit together.
Mashups.
So we was doing mashup before mashups.
Right.
So yeah, Edward J was running shit, his whole squad. And we were like, well, look, we want to get in this game too. We wanted to take over. And Assault was like, man, fuck them. Let's go ahead and get them up out the picture, which we ended up doing. We ended up putting a dent. We really bought the whole West Side, got behind us, and we bought the dent, and we put it down.
So I remember, I think this is the first time I met you. College student, I'm working at Marco's Pita. I remember you walked in. I don't think you knew who I was. 'Cause I wasn't nobody to know at the time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was a student, literally a college student and a student of the game. But I knew who you were again because the AUC is adjacent to the West End.
Right.
And you came in and you had the DJ Jelly MC Assault tape, the 187. I tell you this story all the time. And so this is what's wild about history and how things are supposed to go. Marco Blue Johnson on the spot. I'm in there. Blue. Kenny Burns is in there, right? I'm in there. Now this is whatever year in the 90s it is. And I remember you walked in, you gave Blue a tape, gave KB a tape, probably Jarena and she worked in there with us, and you gave me a tape. And then that was the first time we met. Like clearly I knew you were. That was the first time we met. Yo, when you left, I played that tape. I was like, yo, this kid is going crazy. Because at the time, mixtapes to me weren't necessarily, they weren't produced to the level that you were producing. Doo-Wop was definitely taking production up. G-Bo the Pro was definitely taking production up. But I feel like that tape was the first Atlanta-based tape that I studied. And I was like, yo, this kid is going crazy.
Yeah, but you know, again, as a collaborative effort. I mean, you know, we got the think tank. You know, shouts out to MC Assault. And, you know, everybody just hung with us because we would sit around the table like we were the damn hitman from Puff Daddy. And that's just how, even to this day, you know, Monte. Shouts out to everybody that we collaboratively do things like that together. You know, that's what really. That really became a staple of Atlanta music in the 90s, obviously. And it influenced everything on, even to the music to this day.
Right.
Because it's shit from back then, really, realistically.
That cover was crazy, too. I seen that cover with the toe tag.
Man, with the toe tag.
DJ Smurf on the cover? On the
Man,
toe
that was
tag?
bad, yeah. That was bad.
No,
we had it. No, I'm saying like that. We had to do it. We had to do it too. Shouts out to my partner, College Park.
Yo, that's
College
my
Park.
guy too, man.
Man, and we good
College
friends
Park.
to this day.
Yeah.
So that's so dope.
So it was a musical rivalry, not necessarily a beef.
Yeah, it was just a rivalry.
Just rivalry.
It wasn't no real beef, man. It wasn't
Just
no
competitive. Just
Yeah,
competitive.
it was. You had to. You got to do. This is part of hip hop. That's
Right.
part of human nature.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Talk about the mixtape artwork that you guys had. Like that was a dope cover right there. So talk about the stuff you was doing early in the game.
So yeah, shouts out to my boy Mike, white boy Mike, who went to college with me. Him and Assault would just sit and collab on the style of the tape, how it looked visually and all that. So he was putting it down. He was really coming with that artwork during that time period, like really tight. It was like a comic book almost. Like when we did the artwork, that's kind of how the style was, pretty much. But it was incredible artwork.
So what I admired about the movement is I was like, we knew that the J team had retail, right?
Yeah.
Went to the store, Candler Road, but it just looked, maybe because I always lived either Midtown, downtown, or somewhere on the west side. It just looked like your retail business acumen was on a trillion from jump.
Nah,
Like-
we went to go conquer everywhere. If J Team was sitting over there, we'd set up like we racetrack, like to QT. We'll go set up right down the street. And we
So y'all
were
y'all
on
put
it.
up spots on the east side?
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't-
Sure, the Candler Road Flea Market is like one of our biggest spots, you know, for decades.
Y'all wasn't scared at all.
No, man. Because we had, you know, we had all the goons with us. We had the whole
The west side
behind us and the south side. Like really, it was really a movement.
It was a huge movement.
It was a movement.
And it took so backtracking a bit conversationally, not only was it a huge movement, this is the outside looking in, not me not knowing the particulars. It looked like home base for Camp and DJ Jelly was 559. So I'm gonna paint a picture of 559. You could not get off it's not Lee Street, it's the exit after Lee Street on 20. You could hold up, let me back it. If you got off on Lee Street, you got off and you took a left, you were stuck at that next
Yeah, you
light.
were stuck it was a square.
Yes. And you
It
were
was a square.
stuck.
You were stuck.
I've heard stories.
Like you couldn't get in. Again, I'm coming from campus, so if we went over there, we walked, and then we got over there by the mall, and I'm keeping it funky with you. We were like, this ain't it, B.
Yeah, but it was you gotta understand something. 559, it was a hood club, but everybody used to be in there. I'm talking about Jermaine, Jagged Edge. This is before the sections. Like you had a room full of dope people, musicians, strippers, everybody's in one room. No sections. Nobody's sitting up here looking down. It was none of that. That was the real enjoyment of Atlanta at that time period. We were just all there. It didn't even matter who was who. We were just in there partying together.
What did it sound like? Like what
It was all
what was
hood.
your biggest records?
Everything from Ambitions of a Rider to UA to Born Threat. All the Master P stuff, obviously.
Roll It Up. Was that a big record? I know it was. A big
Well,
record.
when people dance, yes. But you had all the Master P stuff that was just killing the clubs at that time.
Crazy.
Kilo Ali.
Kilo Ali, obviously, Raheem, all the bass artists, but Master P probably had the biggest records at that time.
Which one? Which P records?
No Limit Soldier,
Break 'em off something.
Break 'em Off something, the C Murder Soldier song, Here I Go, like they was killing the club at that time, man. And of course, Pac Ambitions of a Rider was huge.
Like it just looked like from my vantage point, y'all had all the flea markets. And
We
then
had 25 locations at one time.
Wow. Wow.
25, literally. And I don't know how we did it, but we did it. But we used to work Sunday through Sunday. I look back, I be like, damn, shit, we worked our ass off.
25
locations.
How did y'all manage that?
So check this out. We had wholesalers. Shouts out to Tobago DBS. One of our first wholesalers, my partner. I'm including people that we wholesale to as well. Okay. So we included that in that equation as well.
Sheesh.
And we had maybe 5 that we normally man, between our whole crew. Like we had a stupid crew. We had all the cousins and aunties and mamas and everybody working, whether it was dubbing up the tapes. We had everybody working.
So you put out, Jelly, let's say it's Wednesday, right? Let's say, because this is going to lead into a question that Bril has been talking about for a minute. It's Freaknik. It's Monday of Freaknik, right? Freaknik's about to start. The Cali picnic was Saturday, Sunday, so it's Monday about to go into the weekend. Let's say you got a tape that is crazy. What is it like I didn't know that y'all had 20 plus stores,
yeah.
25 stores. What is it like when you drop a tape that is crack, is about to take over the city? What is that like? How many tapes do you feel as though you're going to sell leading into a Freaknik situation?
I mean, as far as tapes, man, per week, I mean, we'll sell easy on a tape, 500 to 800 tapes easy out the gate. That's just kicking off the week. But when you start accumulating that in a month time span in different tapes, we were mopping it up, bro. We was getting to that bread on that. Like that took care of several families at that time, literally.
Yeah, I get it.
And that's just one tape popping off at 500-800 volumes at $10 a piece.
I was just about to ask you what was
$10 a piece off the rip.
Wow.
Off the rip. 5 to 8 is just a decent number.
How much were you selling wholesale for?
Wholesale, we were selling tapes for $5 wholesale.
Sheesh.
But you could get in the stores, you have 20 different mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? You wholesaling all the motherfuckers. And you drop in 3 to 5 tapes a month on top of that. So do the math. We took care of about, like I said, several families. I had quit my job at Peppermint Records because I was over there managing.
Which one? In the West End?
So, because the shit started jumping.
Bro.
Quickly. I was just like, wow. I wasn't even, I DJ'd only at 559. But that was the jump out part because I used to throw out my birthday parties over there. And that would just, obviously market our whole mixtape game as well as our label eventually leading up to that point. Yeah. That was the jump off.
So did y'all center, I referenced Freaknik, did y'all center tapes around events? Or?
No. We just did the tapes. And when events happened, we were just ready.
Right.
Yeah. We were there just popping out. We wasn't saying, well, we're going to make it for it. No. We just were always on deck, ready. And Freaknik, shouts out the whole Freaknik movement. That just really helped us get out there just nationally.
That's what I wanted to ask. Yeah. How pivotal was Freaknik to the movement and spread of your mixtapes across the country? Because people were coming from everywhere when it comes to Freaknik. So New York, Midwest, West Coast, Florida. Everybody was coming to the ATL for that, and then your tapes were spreading across the country. So talk about that.
The Midwest, shouts out to Cleveland, Cincinnati, Detroit. Shouts out to the whole Midwest and the West Coast. They really took them things back and really worked our shit. You know what I'm saying? And shouts out to the whole military. Everybody that was, all the military that was coming through. They really helped us worldwide, obviously, during that time period. And they was at Freaknik. So it was just that whole combination of Freaknik and the military. I would say the military. It just got us right. And like I said before, we wasn't specifically trying to make tapes for a specific type of event. We just was cranking it out, cooking.
So the tapes are moving, but you have a particular style on your tapes. You said it earlier. It's kind of like mashups,
right. It's more of a production.
Yeah, it is a production.
Yeah, it's literally remixes, and but that's how we broke a lot of music. We broke a lot of the East Coast music in Atlanta through that as well.
So then you got ill titles, man. Love Mix, the Bass Gang,
Mac Mixes,
Mad Mix 1 and 2
for the pimps,
for the pimps, right, for the 9-6, different, man. Gazillion titles. I can't even. We'll be here till next week talking about this.
I felt like y'all talked to a specific person in Atlanta.
Yeah, to Atlanta people, the people of Atlanta. No people who were part of the Black Hollywood and AUC and all that. It was just strictly Atlanta folks that lived in the east side, the south side, the west, like specifically, that's what it was.
So, go ahead, bro.
Real quick, let's talk about breaking artists. Like early on in the game, like Outkast, Goody Mob, Hitman, Sammy Sam, people like that. Talk about that, how you guys did that.
I mean, it's about repetition. If I have a bass tape, I'm gonna mix Outkast on that bass tape. I'm gonna mix Goody on that. And I do a slow tape. I'm gonna mix Outkast on the slow tape. If I do a gangster tape, I'm gonna mix Outkast on the gangster tape. If I have an R&B one, they're gonna be on all of them. So you got a plethora of things, and they're on all those tapes, reimagined in different ways. So people are like, damn, this sound kind of dope. Damn, Andre rapping over that Biggie beat with that 808 behind it. Like, we giving you possibilities of what can be.
Right. Were the artists coming to you and giving these music exclusively, or you guys just?
No, we would just snatch them up. Man, give me that. And then they'd be like, here. They'd come over. Tip used to hang out when he was a kid around the store, all that. Like, they just do shit. Everybody was just willing to do stuff because nobody knew where all this was going, but we were all having fun and just really exploring. I'm talking about from our DJ side to all the artists that was around during that time, from the Outkast to the Goodies to the Paul and them, 666, everybody. And everybody was just doing shit together during that time.
So I know when you talk about East Coast mixtapes in the blend and the mashup, Ron G.
Man, I was studying him the whole time when I first started. Getting into it.
So he took the R&B over hip hop beats. Not to say that he was the first, but he kind of
capitalized on it.
Capitalized.
He became the man on that.
Right.
You guys, along with Smurf and them, when I started to study to see how y'all was getting busy, I was hearing the double time, the R&B records under. Yeah, exactly. So I felt like you guys influenced the record production side as well as mixtapes, like
yeah, absolutely.
Like
you can talk to Lil Jon and all of them. They know. They be like, man, I got my jelly tape. I'm sitting, vibe and smoking and blunt. I mean, okay, cool. Shawty Red. Shouts out to nephew. I mean, that's a blessing. To do work and other people experiences as well, and evolve it from there.
I saw a statement that said, besides DJ Screw in Texas, rest in peace DJ Screw.
Absolutely.
You were the foundation of Southern mixtapes. Your camp was the foundation of Southern mixtapes. They said besides DJ Screw, DJ Jelly and his camp were the foundation of Southern mixtapes.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Me and the South was getting busy, man. It was a real tactful and tasteful situation, man. And we really, not only birthed the big records out of that, but we really helped a lot of the artists in the South. Really, shit, really. Up top too, they were coming through and we were helping out. I mean, we didn't care about that shit. We would, it's hip hop. We love it. What I'm saying? It's the excitement of it. It's like a kid being in a candy store.
Like what I appreciate about you is your loyalty to the A, not Atlanta, not ATL, the A, and I say that meaning like the west side of Atlanta. I feel like. If I didn't know you were from St. Louis, I feel like you were born.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like so when I study DJs, like I look at what they stand for. And from day one, you stood that ground. More so than a lot of cats who were born here.
Yeah.
And
honestly, I mean, Lil Jon and Cersei used to call me the ghetto DJ. Can you imagine that? They used to call me the ghetto DJ. I'm like, what? I never forgot that back in the day.
Like you took that offensively?
Back then, of course, because I knew how to DJ. Like I'm like, look now, we can go anyway now. But they just was like, oh, he a ghetto DJ. I forgot where we were. This was like the early '90s, and they were just, oh, he a ghetto DJ.
Yo, the funny thing is that's coming from two guys born here. Like Cersei and John are born here.
Yep.
Every DJ has a category.
Absolutely. I mean,
we all got a category. The ill thing is, me and you have done super high profile events. So I know that category doesn't. That's not who you are.
But I mean, that's what I'm known. You got certain things. That's just like Premier is from Texas, but he has created the sound of New York, and he is you know, it go hand in hand.
Right.
New York and Premier, and he's from Texas, but it don't matter.
He's literally the boom bap producer.
Boom bap, right?
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that. You know, the older I got, I was like, okay, I'm good with that. But you know, back then, you know, we all in college or whatever, and I'm just like, okay. But
What school did you go to?
I went to Atlanta College of Art, which is now Savannah. But I did take some courses over like Spelman. I did shit like that too. I was like, I was trying to be nosy. I was trying to be in all that. I was like, man, I got to experience that. Like the AUC, I was there.
Right.
Heavy. So the AUC, I mentioned it earlier, adjacent to the West End. I remember kids. It was wasn't necessarily kids from Atlanta that put me onto 559. It would be like the kids who lived in the dorm that was from Texas, that was from Louisiana, that was from Florida. They were from the AUC. They were your patrons first. I'm gonna tell you something crazy. The first club that me and Trauma ever spun in, more so him than me, was an off night at 559. Super off night. It was like a Tuesday.
I was about to say it'd be a Tuesday.
Now we didn't last more than 3 hours. And they did not. They did not call us back.
Oh wow.
But the first, I remember Traum was like, "Yo, man, come with me to spin at this club." You know, that was probably the first time I ever heard it. It was definitely the first time I walked in a building. But yeah, man, right there over there in the West End, it was 559. That club was so. Yeah, man, so influential. Again, bro, you gotta look at it like this. The club is literally the size of this book. It's not big at all.
I remember the parking lot. The parking lot is small, so I mean,
parking lot,
yeah,
but you couldn't get off the highway.
Right.
You couldn't. I don't care if you were coming from Alabama, you're driving east, or you come from the east side, headed into the West End. It was Lee Street first. And then what was if you were coming from
Ashby was the other side.
And you
they call it something else now, but
you could not get off the highway. And then if you were walking from campus, because we used to walk from campus to the MARTA station, you were walking to. By the time you crossed over 20 right there, and you looked to your right, it was cars
everywhere.
It was
it was Freaknik every Friday.
Friday.
It was literally like that. Every Friday and Saturday, bro. It was crazy, man. Crazy.
So you guys go from being Mixtape Kings to the record label. And now you're breaking your own artist. Talk about that.
Right. So, I mean, that was a hard road at first. I mean, like anything else. I mean, we had Major Bank, which was our first act. MC Assault was the lead guy in that. And Freddie B, who, you know, when you think of the Camp sound, he was really him and Assault really put that thing together. So that was hard. People wasn't looking for it because that group was coming on some West Coast kind of vibe, but it just wasn't how I know. But then, you know, finally got with Sammy Sam, and that changed the whole playing field.
What was that, riding with some players?
Right, but even just before that, just the fact that he got with and it just changed up because Sam was straight Atlanta, out the hood, reckless, knucklehead, but he was master at performing. He is a master at performing. And that just changed. That just really solidified all Big Records is here for real.
Give that cosign.
Sam really helped that really get solid.
Boom.
You know, straight up.
I think it was riding with some players. Here's what I remember: the label on the record was yellow. The writing was black.
That was Which Way Intoxicated.
That's
right
what
before Riding Players. Yep.
That's what
and it had the DJ Jelly MC Assault stamp.
Yeah. And
Baby D was on the other side.
I don't remember. Maybe you gave it to me. I think I was doing the live broadcast at 112, and that was one of my go-to records. Like when it was time to
turn up.
Yeah,
at 112.
Crazy.
Oh my God. We could do a whole podcast on 112. I mean,
right.
God. Anyway, yeah. No, that's dope though.
Like that movement. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, like these dudes went from the tape, still doing the tape. So wasn't like the tape stopped at all.
Right, but just that became another part of it, another entity. You know, creating this sound and this label. And these artists who were all working with us already, dubbing tapes and stuff. And I was just like, man, you need to rap over here. You need to come and get on this tape and freestyle. I used to direct them like, hey, do that.
Which ones in particular?
Intoxicated. They were basically, that's what they did. They were dubbing up tapes. One of our guys who would really hit the road hard and really push the tapes, Starvin Marvin, his little brother was Be Real, who became one of the lead guys in Intoxicated with that walk it like you want to talk that style. They were real creative. They were street. They were just creative.
You know how many Atlanta rappers bit that style?
Of course.
Like, I'm not even trying to be funny.
Right.
That little
that's
Migos' whole style.
Right.
That's Migos' whole style.
Yeah. And I think even visually, a lot of them younger artists like that, Baby D always had that swag from the East Side. So that was a Baby D-ish swag. That whole kind of how the young boys looking now is what Baby D was on in '89.
Yeah.
In 99 and 2000.
Yeah, that's
that type of swag.
Right.
That East Side type shit.
That was my introduction to Atlanta because I came to Atlanta in 01. So my mom would send me out here during spring break and summertime to visit family. So I heard of the camp, but when I came in 01, the East Side, West Side, that song was the song. Studio Central. That was the song.
Damn.
Studio Central was the song. That was the song. East Side, West Side, and then the remix came out. Out of here.
Yeah, we created the remix from when I used to do what's that Alex and them club on I used to do the basement part.
SOs. SOs on what was that, Friday nights?
On Friday nights. So I would do the basement, I do the down south, and like me and Baby D's girl, all our little fans, they used to be East Side Hope. So we was just like, fuck that.
Let's make a record.
We got to make a record about that. Yeah, that's what they would do.
I remember that.
So you know what's funny about what you just said? So me and Fahrenheit, and Sha Kim was upstairs.
The East Coast room. East Coast and reggae.
And then you all was downstairs. So let's say we're switching out, Fahrenheit gets on, and I take a break. I would come down there, it was like Freaknik.
Yeah, it was 559. That's Atlanta.
That's what it was. Because remember, I would walk to the door because I couldn't get in the room, and I would look over. The door was to the right of the DJ, and I would look to the left. And, salute you.
Yep.
And you couldn't get in the room.
I remember that. It was free. I remember this. It was free for 11 college ID. So I was taking the bus over there.
It was called the Tunnel.
The Tunnel.
It was called the
12
Tunnel.
o'clock come, everybody just waiting at the steps like.
That
was dope.
Yeah, so you had the ability to create a sound, then create records, and then test them. Like that's power that a lot of DJs don't have.
Right.
Like you know what I mean? Like I never produced records, so I couldn't sit at the house. I didn't sit at the house and make a record
and then go to the club the next day. That night.
Play it. But I was able to watch y'all's movement from its inception, not its inception, because I got here in 91, you got here in 90, but at least from the record
the label didn't kick till 95.
Got
so
you.
You were in the game.
And then, my favorite artist from y'all, I felt like it was Baby D.
Baby D.
Maybe it was because his swag.
It was his swag. Baby D got that. That's some real East Atlanta, East Side shit. He just... he had that flavor, straight up. Women loved him. It wasn't like he was an incredible lyricist, but he had flavor, and he really gave you, this is a part of Atlanta that's real.
Taylor Road and McAfee.
Man, it was very authentic.
Right, yeah.
Super authentic.
I remember seeing the video on Public Access TV. I forgot the channel used to come on, but when I first seen Atlanta, Public Access TV, I remember seeing the video on there. I was like, wow.
Right.
He's really moving.
Right. And then eventually, when the label kicked off, we eventually created the television show that came at the late night show, the Live with the Camp, which ran from 2000 to 2010. And shouts out to Wyclef. He did our last show, and he was fucking freestyling hard as shit. Damn, what the hell? We were down at Spin over there in Peter Street. He was killing it. Oh, I got to find that tape. He was killing it.
We definitely.
He was raw. I mean, he freestyled about 15 minutes. I was like, shit. Right. But he was killing, Wyclef. But anyway, yeah.
Got a question for you. Talk about the Southern Style DJs. How did that come up?
That came up because of the Hitman, which the Hitman I first got with Casper and Greg Street. We were going to start that up. And then Monte and Howard, MC Assault, they was just like, man, fuck that. We can do our own shit, man. And we created Southern Style DJs.
Okay. Shout out to Monte.
Yep, absolutely.
So explain what the Southern Style DJs are.
It's just that's the collective that we call ourselves. That's all. It was just basically turning the other situation from the Hitmen, because the Hitmen were going to be more, and they were more politically in terms of dealing with like Atlanta radio. We dealt with everything, the radio. We dealt with the people in the streets. We dealt with everybody. So that just kind of separated us in terms of the title. That's all.
Got you. What year was that around?
Oh shit, that had to be like 98, 9 or something, I think, or it might have been 2000. I don't know.
Who were the members? Who were the members
of Southern Style? It was just me, Assault, and Monte. And now we have a new member, DJ Super Blue, a young dude. So
you still use that moniker?
Yeah, Mixtape Mobsters as well. So we use Southern Style DJs and Mixtape Mobsters.
Got it. I mean, yo, you are so pro Atlanta,
Right?
Like, and I say that in the highest form. Like, Atlanta at one time, I felt like didn't respect the DJ. So when I say this, I'm gonna give you a couple of reasons. You would go to parties and the DJ's name wouldn't be on the flyer. It would just be club whatever, right? So that was kind of why we started the Super Friends. But always looking at y'all's movement, the DJ was always first.
Yeah, because that was some Atlanta shit. Like Atlanta respects DJs. The people who was on the surface, the Uptown, the Black Hollywoodish, whatever, the AGs, that didn't concern them. It didn't, even coming out. It's just Atlanta always respected DJ. It's always been a dance culture here in Atlanta and a DJ culture that's strong.
I mean, you just said something super important, the dance culture.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because you know what, you got to dance, attach it to a record, the record goes even faster. So
before TikTok.
Yeah, before
Right.
TikTok. So Walk It Out, Camp.
Yeah.
Like, so you haven't mentioned him prior to this. Where is he at in the relationship?
Unc came when the label finally blew up, so they say. That was our really breakout artist, period. I mean, that first that's our independent label we have. We blew up, went up in the charts. It was some, some fairy tale type shit, but it happened, and it was a dope thing, it happened. And we encompassed all that shit in that first album. Some real Atlanta shit that just got out.
I mean, that record still is a jump off record.
Right. Yeah. It's a big, huge record.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Huge
Like
record.
you know how DJs, like, we categorize our music. So I have a set. In my Serato, I have like ATL dance records.
Right,
and
right.
Walk It Out.
Yeah, this is like this is before YouTube really got big. This is before TikTok. So it's that. Like the grandfather, that type of shit.
Like, that's a record that when I do my ATL set around the country, that's a record that I have to play.
Man, I play that record around the world. That record is huge. I've been on the road. I've DJ'd on the road around the world, and I've DJ'd with Unc on the road around the world. Like, Japan, Europe, that shit is fucking crazy.
And all came from Mixtape. So
Came from Mixtapes.
So where was he? I know
Unc he was a Southern Style DJ. He came into it as a DJ.
He was DJ Unc.
Yeah, it's DJ Unc, and
Where
he was
was he-
making mixtapes.
Where was he spinning at? Like,
He wasn't spinning. He was just helping us make the mixtapes.
Got you. What side of the A is he from?
He's from 4th Ward.
Oh,
Yeah, he's from the 4th Ward.
wow. More history.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
More
I-
downtown, Unc, DJ Unc, shouts out to Unc too.
Boulevard.
Yeah,
like,
he put in a lot of work.
That's crazy. So influence from the mixtapes grew to influence into production. Out of the camp, you guys made major history in the A. What do you think Atlanta would be without you guys? Like, if you guys didn't exist, if DJ Jelly never moved to Atlanta, what would it be?
I don't know. It's hard to say. That's really hard to say. It wouldn't be where we are now. You got to think about Atlanta been quietly running the game since 2000, 2001. Like, real influential musically, sonically, like it really has. It's just the only thing, like, when you think about Atlanta just doesn't have the marketing as New York and West Coast. I mean, just let's keep it real. Just as far as, in your face, the market is just, that's why it's been quietly running. Like, it's just been running shit.
For a long time.
But yeah, I couldn't answer that if I wasn't here. I don't know. shit, I'm here. Right. You know, it's like, you know what I'm saying? I ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's like, shoot, I'm here.
So another name that's, when you think of the Oop Camp, I think of Monte.
Absolutely.
Like, I think of Monte's production.
Crazy. Like, he produced Flow Rider. Get Low.
Snoop.
Get Low. Snoop. Jeezy. A little bit of everybody. So as a producer and DJ, like, were you ever in a lab with him when he was making these records? Of course, all that shit. You gotta think, like I said, we have a think tank realistically. You know, Assault, me, you know, Boom, Monte is a think tank. Everybody just kick the ideas around.
And then go from there. Did you ever get into producing?
Without the name producing, yeah, I'm more like Rick Rubin, Puff. Like, I tell you, like, that need to go up, and black people don't look at it as production. It really is.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I mean, you know, that's unfortunate for us black folks, but yeah, you know, but it's all, you know, hey, you know, that's why I'm still involved with a little bit of everything, like different other artists, and you know, they call me, hey man, I need you to hit, you know, just that's a blessing. I
mean, yo, your name's not going anywhere, right? Like. It's not going anywhere. Me and you did the mayor's, the after party for the mayor's mask ball, and you hosted the ATL section.
Yeah,
talk about that because the artists that you brought to the stage is the foundation of Atlanta hip hop scene before the Outkast, the Goodies.
Yeah, before that, so it's the era before Outkast. You got your first 8 artists. You know, started with Mojo, who wasn't there, who should have been there. That's Atlanta's first rapper ever, Mojo, period. That's the first rapper. But it was just good to, you know, to have them folks come out and rock with the mayor, because the mayor understood it. It's just that the crowd didn't really know anything. They was like scratching their head, really. You know, that's which I thought was interesting. And then it also made me see that we have to do more podcasts. We have to tell more stories.
Right.
We have to really, you know, we got educate. We got to, it's time to work, you know, the next level of work for Atlanta's history, music history.
I feel like that's part of the difference between New York and Atlanta. Even the whack side of New York, they puff their chests out and tell their story. Like, they'll never let you forget.
Yeah.
It could be a minuscule piece of information.
Yeah, no, you're right, but I respect that, though.
Yeah,
that's real.
Yeah. Like, they will let you know. So that moment, obviously, I was there with you. I was watching it, and I was like, yo, this is crazy because this is real Atlanta. One of my favorite rappers that hit the stage that night was Shadi. Like, you could tell watching his movement, you could tell he's still an MC.
Yeah,
like, you can see it.
Of course. Like, man, that man, he's a real rapper, you know? Man, absolutely. It's beautiful to see that.
It's extremely beautiful, man. You know, again, me and Bril built this podcast to educate. You know what I mean? Absolutely. To tell stories, for people to hear your lineage. You know, we always kind of start in the same space. What were you doing in junior high? Because in most people's lives, if you ask them what their favorite music was, they always tend to go back to where they were 7th, 8th grade. Like, it just seems like that's everyone's starting point. So to hear your start in St. Louis, amazing. And then to hear what inspired you to come to Atlanta, literally an article in a magazine.
Essence.
Very
Bobby important black magazine.
Right.
Super important to know that story. I'm not saying you wouldn't have got to Atlanta anyway. Right. You probably would have. But that story inspired you to say, I'm going to the A.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have no doubt. Like, I literally, as soon as I saw it, I just clicked. Like, AJ, bing. I was out. I made my plans right out.
Damn.
Yeah.
So, man, you know, this is Art Behind the Tape podcast series. We couldn't have done
Jelly
the
Part
book.
1 because it's like 3 decades.
Right, exactly.
No.
So now I'm glad you said that, because the interviews part side A, side B.
That's dope. I love it.
So you know, thank you, bro. You're here. You're gonna come back.
Absolutely.
We're gonna dig in the crates even more, man. We appreciate you, brother.
Man, appreciate y'all.
No doubt, no doubt.
Marshall, my dog.
The Art Behind the Tape. You get the book at
artbehindthetape.com.
All right, man. We out of here.
Peace.
Mixtapes. The classic mixtapes.
Doing the mixtape thing.
Let me drop a mixtape.
Oh, mixtape.
The mixtapes.
This is the Art Behind the Tape Podcast. Hosted by
This DJ.
DJ Mars and Bril Ndiaye. Covering the spectrum of the mixtape culture.